to our interest connection with our percent unit in consumer math. Interest or simple interest or compound interest that we'll learn on Friday is all connected to consumer math as well. That means like if you take money to borrow, or if you borrow money for a car, you borrow money for a house, you get a bunch of money, you invest it into a bank. You have a checkings account. BizTown from 6th grade kind of helped you prep up with all that stuff. It's all part of being consumer math, okay? So here's the biggest thing that we have as 7th graders. Simple interest. Simple interest, simple formula. I equals PRT. What's it mean when letters stick next to each other?
Multiply.
Multiply. So this just means I equals P times R times T. Now you just need to know what all these variables mean. So I is interest. Interest is the amount of money paid to you or the bank for lending or investing money. For example, if I'm going to buy a car, I'm borrowing money from the bank. The bank can't just borrow me money for free or they would not have any money. Everybody would want to borrow it. They have to charge you a little bit of interest to make, it's kind of like markup, to make sure that they're getting money back into the bank for doing that, okay? Some people do get like a 0% interest rate if you have really good standing with banks and stuff. Or investing. If you get a chunk of money and you invest it into the bank, they pay you for keeping your money there, as long as it's a savings account. I think Wells Fargo might do a checking account that offers interest as well, but they'll pay you. You're not even doing anything. Your money's just hanging out in the bank, and it earns money just by sitting there. Okay. Principal. That's my P. Principal. Weird word. But it just means the initial amount that you borrow or invest. You're either borrowing money from a bank or putting money into a bank, which means invest. Rate is the R. Rate is expressed as a percent. Okay? Now how you do the percent, you can hit the percent button on your calculator. That's what you're going to see I'm going to do. Or you can turn it to a decimal. But kids always kind of mess up accidentally with decimals. Like when they do 4%, they think 0.4, and it's not. 4% does not equal 0.4. It's 0.04. So if you sometimes forget if you should have a 0, please do not use a decimal. Just push the percent button on your calculator, okay? And time is T, and it's always in years. That's a biggie today. Time for simple interest is always related to years, all right? So, simple interest, simple formula. You go interest equals P times R times T. P means how much you invested or borrowed initially. R is your percent rate. T is years. All right, let's apply it. Let's say you put $500 into a savings account that earns 5% simple interest. How much do you have after 3 years? So this is my P, that's my initial amount. This is my R, my interest rate. And my T is 3. So I just multiplied them all together. 500 times 5% times 3. Make sure you put the percent button into your calculator. So what do you get? 75. I thought it was something like that. All right, now we got to be so careful. And here's what we got to be careful for. So it says have. Do I have 75 bucks? Yes or no?
No.
No, I have more than 75 bucks. What I have is my $500 plus the 75. I have $575. Today is going to be tricky because sometimes you add, sometimes you don't. So So you're gonna have to be careful about when do you add, when do you not. Notice what I boxed off. What vocab word is that? Have. Have means add, okay? So just keep your eye on the hunt for the word have. If it says have, then you should add it together. All right, you got a car loan when you turn 16 for $4,500. You pay 9% interest. How much interest did you pay if you took the loan out for 3 years? So P is my $4,500, R is 9%, T is 3. Multiply them all together. 4,500 times 9% times 3. So 4,500 times 9% times 3 equals $1,215. Is that how much I paid for my car? Yes or no?
No.
Heck no, it's not. That's a cheap car. How much did I pay? Well, I had to pay for the full car, right? So I paid $4,500 plus the interest, $1,215. And that gives me $5,715 is what I paid. Maybe box off those words to help you today, because I can guarantee you're going to second guess yourself a little bit. Do I add these or do I not add them? So notice what I'm boxing off. Okay? And also, let's take a minute to just appreciate what that means. So if the bank borrows you $4,500, in 3 years they earned $1,215 off of you. So I mean, it's a good investment for the bank to go ahead and borrow, because they get their money back plus extra. So I think that's pretty nice, right? Next concept, fraction percents in calculating total balance. Well, we've already been doing total, but we have not been doing fraction percents. Please turn them to a decimal. It's the easiest. You don't have to. You can keep it a fraction in your calculator. It looks nicer as a decimal though. Okay, we're only going to do a couple of these just because we have quite a bit to get through still. So I'm going to do the first column, those two. Okay, let's say that you invest $600 and you have 3.25% interest rate for 4 years. I would turn this 3 1/4 to 3.25%. It's much easier to work with that in your calculator. So my interest, times them all together, 600 times 3.25 times 4. And that's 7,800. Oh, just kidding. I knew it's now, I forgot to push something. Okay? Notice that's a huge number. You've got to understand the context there. So I got 7,800, but wait, that doesn't even make sense. I only put $600 in, and not a high interest rate. So there's no way. And I look at my calculator, sure enough, I forgot to put percent at the 3.25. And that messes it up. What?
Technically that translates to 325%. So the real answer is 8,400.
Oh, yeah, if I were to keep that, you're saying? Yeah, jeez. Okay, so my total money would be my 600 plus the 78, $678. Okay, so again, with this little section I have here, this little learning target of fraction percents, turn them to a decimal. They're so much easier to work with. But then it's weird when it's repeating. That's why I chose that one. So this is really 8.6 repeating percent. Better not forget that again. So I'm going to just type that in. My interest is equal to P, 122, times R, 8.6 repeating percent, times T, 5. Now you don't have a repeating decimal, but you sure can push a bunch of 6s all by yourself. I don't know how many you want to push, just push a bunch. So I'm gonna go 122 times 8.1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 sounded good to me. Percent times 5. And I'm gonna get $52.87. And you all should get that. Okay? Whether you get 8 sixes, 9 sixes, 15 sixes, we will all get that. Okay, then my total money would be 122 plus 52.87, which is calculated to $174.87. Okay. I'm going to pause the recording for a minute. Okay, our next example or topic is talking about months. Now remember, T is years. You cannot make T months. T is years. So if you're given months, you need to make that a fraction of a year. See how I have that? Month is a fraction of the year. For example, 2 months does not equal 2 years. Do you agree with that statement, yes or no?
No.
Yeah, well, I agree with that. There is no way 2 months is equivalent to 2 years. Okay, so you have to be careful for that. If you're given months, it's a fraction of a year. Let's say you borrow $1,000 for a new computer on a credit card. They charge 22% interest. How much did you pay after 4 months? So this is P, 1,000, times R, 22%, times T, 4 months. 4 months is 4 out of the 12. I'm going to pause here. Okay, we did the last 2 here. 6 months, what we did is 1,000 times 22%. 6 months is a half a year. That's where we get the half from. 18 months is 18 out of 12, which is a year and a half. So we went 1,000 times 22% times 1.5, and that gave us 330. And that's how these department stores earn money to borrow you money for a TV or a computer. Those little purchases that you don't go to a big bank for, you just go to the department store. They earn quite a bit of money off of you pretty fast because they have that high interest rate. Okay, last topic in this lesson. Again, we're skipping this whole section here. And we need to know how to work backwards. So I know that my students, you already have written this heading, so make sure you get this heading under your that section we're skipping. And working backwards. Working backwards is when you already have interest. So when you already have the interest, you need to work the opposite direction. So let's say that you earned $500 in interest after 4 years at a 3% rate. How much did you invest? So I already have my interest. Notice that interest equals PRT. So when I normally do things, I multiply, right? P times R times T. Well, what's backwards of multiplying? Division. So here I just divide. So you take your answer, 500, divided by your principal, I don't know. I find it out after I do all this division. Divided by your interest rate, divided by your 4. And it will tell you 500 divided by 3% divided by 4 equals 4,166. And you better write 67 cents. I have 45 seconds to show you the algebra way to do this. So easy way, just divide. Say, oh, I got to work backwards. So instead of multiplying, I'll divide. Order doesn't matter. Okay? Just like multiplying order doesn't. Because if you went 500 divided by 4 divided by 3%, you'd get the same answer. Okay? You get the exact same. Here, the formula is this. I have my interest, I have my time, I have my rate. So P is left over, you just hang it out at the end. So what's my rate? 3% times my time